I was trying to raise money for a very long period of time because I obviously did not have cash.
There's nobody who's ready to back it up. The only thing I had to do is put my house on the mortgage. So
Craft and flavor has to be reimagined in India.
Business Insider making everybody aware what's going on.
From India's first microbrewery that started in Pune in 2009 to over 200 spread across the country right now, the business of beer is booming. And it is delicious. Today on the 4th episode of What's What with Business Insider India, me Sucharita, I'm going to take you to the promised land, to the young but exciting world of brewers, sellers and beer wizards. The Indian alcohol market is growing at a compound annual growth rate of 8.8% and is expected to reach 16.8 billion litres of consumption by the year 2022. Of this, the Indian beer industry in particular has been witnessing steady growth of 9.90% annually over the last 10 years. A sizable market share of this growth belongs to Bira 91. CEO and founder Ankur Jain's brainchild, this is a brand so Indian, the 91 in its name is India's country code. From their first brewery in Belgium in 2015 to now, this journey and growth has been nothing short of spectacular.
So we're primarily in 5 states: Karnataka, Delhi NCR, Andhra, now UP, Maharashtra, MP. Large focus on tier 1 cities and tier 2 cities. So a lot of our growth this year is expected to come from tier 2 cities. Cities like Indore, cities like Aurangabad and Nasik and so on and so forth.
Where did that initial funding come from, Ankur, when you first decided to set this up?
Very interesting. Before I was doing Bira 91, I was importing a lot of beers, and I was trying to raise money for a very long period of time because I obviously did not have cash. I come from a relatively humble background, etc. Obviously, for a business like beer, nobody would put in cash in India, no credible source would put in cash from India. So I had a friend of mine who had just started his own startup, doing his own startup, and was working out of a co-working space in New York. And I was like, this is great. Why don't you invite some of your friends and potential sort of people who are in private equity and people who can sort of write a small check, etc., to your office, and maybe I'll treat them to beer and let's see what happens.
Hustle.
So complete hustle. And by the end of 2 hours, I had commitments for about $300,000, each in $10,000 checks or $15,000 checks. So that's how I raised my first capital.
Hustle is a prerequisite to raise any money in this industry. Meet Rahul Singh, the founder and CEO of the Beer Cafe, a chain with 40 outlets in 13 Indian cities now. But success was not easily achieved.
I worked for 15 years in a sportswear company. I quit that to actually start my own business, which is at the age of 36. I ran that for about 4 or 5 years, and it kind of collapsed. And it was a failed venture. At that stage, I had only 2 options: either go and get a job, which I'd already done, or actually restart or refire, and that's where the Beer Cafe happened. But there's nobody who was ready to back it up. The only thing I had to do is put my house on the mortgage. So little filmy, but that's how it happened.
Oh, filmy stories are best stories.
Yes.
But why beer?
So I realized that I think sports wants to just give it a kind of a side treatment here, and let's just go after socializing, and alcohol is one of them. So it was a funnel test. It was more like, I think whiskeys people don't come out and drink, vodka is just starting off, wine is still a very small market. I think beer it is. So that's how it happened. Yes, it does take a lot because though it's a cafe, it's supposedly a smaller place, unlike a large bar or a pub, but you require the same amount of regulations. I think 15 to 20 different licenses to run one. Each state we go in, we have to kind of learn from scratch. There is nobody who can help you on that. It's your own. It's all self-learning.
Ah yes, permissions and licenses. Red tape nightmare much?
We just commissioned a new brewery very recently, literally 2 weeks ago in Andhra. It took us almost a year and a half to get it up.
Wow.
And so permissions, I mean, this is a regulated sector, so no surprises there.
Right.
It's not easy to get breweries online, to get supply chain permissions and so on and so forth. It's just sort of subject to some arbitrary sort of...
So basically it's unpredictable. You never know how long it's going to
Exactly.
take. One amazing thing that Bira has cracked is your marketing. The tie-ups that you do. You know, you have merch and everything, and you're tying up with the biggest films like Gully Boy, and now you're at the World Cup.
Yeah.
How do you guys keep cracking plan after plan after plan?
I think it's about keeping ourselves honest with consumers. I think it's about us trying to speak in the same language that we do with our friends. Just to give you an example with Gully Boy, I almost feel that Bira 91 was a character in the film.
Absolutely.
And it was not so much about us slapping a logo anywhere. Bira hardly comes up. In fact, the first mention in the movie is when Kalki orders a Bira in a social. And it's also about sort of pushing culture in a certain direction. So we were not doing EDM, we were not doing, let's say, song and dance routines. It was really about hip hop. It was about the underground culture, which had still not emerged.
Is that culture emerging now?
Beer is India's second largest packaged beverage after carbonated drinks. We sell more beer in package in India than milk, than tea, than coffee, than nectar juices, and even soda and other juices. So it's a lot of sales. It's just that people are now coming into better beers, and that is the whole change that we are seeing. And we're part of the revolution. So I think we're just early days, but you will see a lot of beer.
Why do you think that change is now happening?
Two things. One, the world's collapsed. Things like Business Insider making everybody aware what's going on. But that's one part. But the other part is, I think people want to try. Any place that you go to, a new country, and I think better beers are being made. So, to be very honest, it's like an entire cycle that needs to be actually corrected, and that's what's happening. So, from mass beers, we're going towards better beers.
One of the better beers, at least according to its insane global popularity, is the India Pale Ale, popularly called the IPA. So why is it that the India Pale Ale is not so popular here in India?
Because an IPA has a very high IBU, it's very hoppy. It's an IBU about more than 30 points. India has an IBU, what I've seen as a taste profile, about 12 to 15. And that basically is because we are a very chatpatas, like that. So I think it's a very chart economy.
It's a beer style that was imagined for India, that was shipped to India, that was created in India, and it's redefined craft beer globally.
Yes.
So we have to connect back to that heritage. We actually introduced our IPA, the India Pale Ale. We call it the Indian Pale Ale.
Indian Pale Ale.
So it's one of the things that we feel is when you have a high ABV, let's say 7% alcohol by volume, consumers, especially in a bar or restaurant, want something easier. And so we're lowering the ABV to 4.5%.
Wow,
we're
okay.
adding Indian ingredients to it. So first information for you, we're adding the pomelo, which is the mother of grapefruits everywhere.
Oh,
And
great.
it's Indian.
Oh, so
right?
is this a Business Insider scoop?
This is the Business Insider scoop.
With over 50 homegrown beer brands now, the demand is only going up.
I think they are better beers. They are far, there's a soul around it. They're not mass produced. They're produced in batches. They're trying new things. And I think that's actually going from what we call from testosterone to taste. So that's what's happening. Right now, the beer market in India, as you already know, 80% is all about strong, macho.
Yeah.
It's all about let's just get drunk. I think that drunk part then becomes drinking. And that's where I think the whole idea should change. And that's happening.
The drunk rowdiness though, is that a cause for concern?
We have 1.2 million people who come in right now every year to consume beers at the beer cafe. It has a license. It has spirits too. It has other spirits. I do not have a single rowdiness or any case that normally goes, with alcohol, there's trouble. I don't have bouncers. I don't have guards. I don't have any table reservation. It's like a coffee place. You just come and go. No cases. That just shows it's possible.
Well, the road ahead seems fun for sure.
Beer, we're doing a lot of innovation. We just introduced Boom, which is our mass market product, trying to bring craft or flavor to consumers who are not willing to pay anything above a Kingfisher Strong or a 2-Box Strong. Attempt is to really launch almost a new flavor every month. And then the non-beer part, which is how do you consume beer? What is your lifestyle like when you're sort of just hanging out, sort of pushing those boundaries. And that's where, let's say, merchandise comes in, e-com, driven by e-com.
And a global partnership with ICC, totally casual, no big deal.
It's a 5-year partnership. It covers a lot of our major tournaments, of course, the T20 World Cups, but also the Women's World Cup, which is a really important sort of asset for us because we feel that females are going to drive preferences much more than before. As far as beer is concerned, absolutely. I really think as consumption moves towards bars and restaurants, it is definitely going to be driven by females.
Now that the election has gotten over, there's been a 2 or 3 months of a Lent for us where, because of the code of conduct, we couldn't get licenses. I think we'll get a rapid amount of licenses because everybody is going back to work. So from 13 to 18 cities, from 40 to 52 outlets, that's given in. That's the immediate plan right now. The other big plan is we're making our own beer. So,
Oh, excellent.
yes.
Good job.
Yes. The beer is called Indie 18 to just let you know the brand.
Indie
But
18.
Yes, that's
Plug.
the brand. So whenever that comes, you will get it. That's the plug.
Finally, masters, what does one have to do to taste this kind of success?
Any business, any startup, but specifically in this space, in the beer space, is labor of love. So look more for great tasting beers and less for reward, at least in the short term, especially financial reward in the short term. I think you'll be happier.
I would say, the passion to beer is important, but I think passion to business is far more. A lot of people do this for glamour or to kind of, beer is, it's not a toothpaste, it's something which is more exciting. But I think you need to have passion for business too. It is, at the end of the day, a very hard working place. You need to actually have the numbers in place, you have to the right talent and team. So I think it's a lot of hard work.
So clearly, all evidence points to the fact that India's craft beer revolution is here to stay. While you might not be able to make your own beer at home, next time you step out, try something new. Until then, this is Business Insider India. My name is Sucharita and I'm coming at you with more fun stuff very, very soon.